Learning English through stories is one of the most powerful ways to improve your listening and comprehension skills without feeling like you're studying. While you're enjoying an exciting adventure, your brain is absorbing vocabulary, grammar, and sentence patterns in a natural and effortless way. So if you're looking for a fun way to learn English, you're in the right place. Before we jump into this mysterious story, make sure to subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and turn on notifications. We post a new story every single day, and they're all designed to help you level up your English in the most entertaining way possible. Now, let's begin. His name was Leo, and he had never expected the day to start like that. It was supposed to be just another quiet morning, just like the one before. But something strange happened the moment he reached for his keys and found his pocket empty. He had just stepped out for a minute. Just a few seconds, really. The hallway outside his apartment smelled like coffee and wet paint, and the air was still cool from the early hours. Leo had closed the door behind him without thinking, only planning to check the mailbox. But when he returned and tried to go back inside, the door didn't open. His keys were not with him. They were inside the apartment. For a few moments, he simply stood there, staring at the doorknob like it might magically turn. But it didn't. He patted his jeans. Nothing. He checked his jacket. Still nothing. A small laugh escaped him, the kind that people make when something inconvenient happens and there's no one around to blame. He looked down the hallway. No one. The building was always quiet around this time. He walked slowly toward the elevator, wondering if the front desk had a spare key. But when he reached the lobby, there was a note on the reception desk. Back in 20 minutes. Great. Of course. Leo sat down on a small bench near the entrance. The street outside was bright, and he could see people walking, carrying coffee cups, wearing sunglasses, talking into their phones. The world was moving, and he was stuck. That was when he noticed something odd. From the corner of his eye, through the glass entrance, he saw a man across the street staring at him. Not just looking, staring. The man had a long gray coat and was standing perfectly still, like a statue. Leo blinked. When he looked again, the man was gone. He rubbed his eyes and shook his head. Maybe he was just tired. Maybe it was the stress of locking himself out. He checked the time on his phone and realized he had a long wait ahead. Trying to kill time, he walked back upstairs, thinking he might try knocking on a neighbor's door. Maybe someone had a phone number for the building manager. But as he passed his apartment again, he stopped. The doorknob was turned slightly to the side. It was very subtle, but it wasn't like that before. He was sure of it. His fingers reached for it slowly, and he tried again. Still locked, but it had definitely moved. A strange feeling settled in his stomach. Something wasn't right. He leaned closer to the door and listened. Nothing. No sound inside. He knocked softly. Still nothing. He stood there for a while, unsure of what to do next. That's when he remembered something. His neighbor across the hall had once mentioned a strange draft in the building. Something about hidden vents and old construction plans. Leo didn't pay attention back then, but now it seemed worth considering. He walked further down the hall and found a narrow door that led to the maintenance closet. Inside was dusty, filled with tools and cleaning supplies. But behind a large metal shelf, he noticed a thin opening, barely wide enough for a person. Leo squeezed through and found himself in a tight passageway, dark and filled with cobwebs. It smelled old, like forgotten wood and rust. He moved carefully, using the flashlight on his phone to guide him. The passage curved and twisted. At one point, he had to crawl, but after what felt like a long journey, he reached a small metal grate. Through it, he could see his own apartment. From this hidden space, he saw the living room. Everything looked normal, but then he noticed something he hadn't left there, a book on a coffee table. A book he didn't own. Its cover was old, leather-bound, and dusty. The moment he saw it, a chill ran down his spine. He couldn't explain why, but he felt like the book was watching him. He tried to push the grate, and to his surprise, it moved. Quietly, he slipped into his apartment from the secret passage. He stood very still, listening. No sounds, no movements. He locked the front door immediately. Then he walked over to the mysterious book. It was heavy. There were no words on the cover. When he opened it, the pages were filled with strange symbols and faded handwriting. One sentence was written in bold, right across the center of the first page. "You were not supposed to find this." His heart started racing. He flipped through the pages. Maps, drawings, names. None of it made sense. But at the very end, he found a picture. It was a photograph. It showed his apartment building, but much older. There were fewer floors, and the windows were shaped differently. In the picture, a group of people stood outside the building. Some of them were wearing suits and dresses from many decades ago. One face caught his attention. A man in a gray coat, the same one he saw outside earlier. Leo dropped the book. It hit the floor with a dull sound. He backed away slowly. None of this was normal. Then he noticed something else. The air in the apartment felt thicker, like he was not alone. He turned around, expecting to see someone, but the room was empty. He picked up the book again and decided to look for any kind of clue. He found a name, Marcus R. Holloway, and under it an address, a house not too far from where he lived. That afternoon, Leo made his way to the address. The house was old and quiet. He knocked, and after a long pause, a man opened the door. He looked like he hadn't aged in decades. His eyes were sharp, and his voice was calm. Leo didn't know what to say. He simply held out the book. The man looked at it, then at Leo. He nodded slowly and stepped aside. Inside the house, Leo learned about the building's past. It had been part of a strange experiment many years ago. Hidden passages, observation rooms, and forgotten studies. The book was not supposed to survive, but somehow it did. Marcus told him that the man in the gray coat was one of the architects. He had disappeared one day without a trace. But people still claimed to see him near the building, always watching. Leo left the house with more questions than answers. But something inside him had changed. He returned to his apartment, placed the book in a box, and locked it away. He never saw the man in the gray coat again. But every now and then, when he passed by the mirror in his hallway, he thought he saw something, someone standing behind him. Just for a second. Then it was gone. You just listened to a full English story and probably didn't even realize how much you learned. That's the magic of stories. You picked up new expressions, sentence patterns, and vocabulary without needing a textbook or memorization. You followed a mystery, felt the suspense, and stayed curious until the very end. If you enjoyed this story, leave a comment and tell us what you think happened to the man in the gray coat. Or maybe share your theory about the book. We read every single comment and love hearing from you. Don't forget to subscribe for more daily audio stories just like this one. See you in the next adventure.